Fuck. I'm gonna do this now. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I never really liked CG animated movies. And this movie doesn't help at all. A lot of companies try to rip off Disney classics, mostly at the time they premiere. And this is the same. Only 33 years too late.
Alright, the movie starts up in Unexplained Castle in England. I would assume it's Nottingham, but seriously, there's no fucking town. Just look at it. The road isn't even connected to anything. And as you clearly see, the movie starts up at the joust part of the Disney movie. That's about halfway in, right? Anyway, as we all know, this joust is... I'm sorry, it's just that yellow duck's animation.
I mean, seriously, they thought this was so funny. They decided to reuse this animation twice.
As I was saying, the joust is between the Sheriff of Nottingham and, well, unknown person number 5. And of course, the Sheriff cheats the way to victory and earns the kiss from Lady Cat person, Foxy, Marion. Lady Marion, of course.
In his dreams.
But she disappeared, and since the story writers didn't want to question this, then why should we? So after that, the archer competition is on the way, and of course, the prince and sheriff discovers who of the two competitors is Robin Hood. Oh, and I simply love how they reuse character designs. Twice in the same clip. So they engage in a cheap chase and fight scene, which... Wait a minute, pink slippers?
Is it just me, or is there a part of Robin Hood we don't know about?
So Robin Hood takes off into the forest, and of course, the sheriff chases after him.
What the hell? Never mind. Move on.
He then engages in a scene with the Lady Cat, Marion. If I should point out all the flaws, this episode would be like 5 hours long. Although I should point out that it was Lady Mercat Marion that posed as Robin Hood in the chase scene.
Which begs the question, when did she become so badass?
Moving on, they fend off the sheriff and... Hi! Music-inspired segue. Nice of you to randomly show up. So after that random segue, we see Robin Hood's treasure chamber.
I thought he gave to the poor, not himself. Although this makes way more sense in my opinion.
So Marion gets information that the king is in danger, and thus begin the quest for the king. Title pun intended. And of course Robin doesn't want Mercat to tag along, and she agrees even though she's displeased by this. So Marion decides to stay back and spy on Prince John and the sheriff to find out what their devious plot is.
It seems your dear brother King Richard has decided to return.
What? See, I speak more like this somewhat than it is.
So Mario N and her sheep lady decides to rush to Robin Hood to warn him while they defy the fucking laws of physics.
I mean, look at it! You cannot ride a derby horse like that while your dress is still falling down. And later on, she rides like a lady. It's like the developers figured out that this seemed wrong, but had already spent the money and couldn't afford to change it.
So they board a ship in order to catch up with Robin Hood, and guess who is on the exact same ship? Another stupid movie cliche, which I cannot remember the name of, but it's still way overused. I know it's Robin Hood, of course, and his merry men, and of course more breaking of the laws of physics and math. I mean, how can they hide in those fucking barrels? The same barrels who's actually in a later scene. There they are, you see? Anyway, the sheriff is also on board.
What? Was he gonna start singing or something? Is this a fucking musical? Seriously, is this a musical?
Never mind, we are halfway through this movie. The next part is they shipwreck and wash ashore in France, where they have to get help and information from Lady Cat Marion's family and friends.
Robin, have you forgotten? Richard and I are part French. We have family here that will help us.
What would have been really cool and awesome is if they actually showed these people. And maybe a city. Or I don't know. At least a house. Something!
But instead of that, we get another segue with yet another song.
And you might think that I don't like these songs the way I portray them, but I love these songs! I might even say it's the best part of the movie.
These songs really catches the era which surrounds the Robin Hood legacy. They might be generic, but god damn it, I still love these kind of songs.
I mean, these songs belong in Skyrim. Who is with me? Really?
So after that, they get to Austria by horse ride. They stumble upon the king of Austria's castle, which is where the king of England is being held captive. So they send the boy through a hole that they dug to check where the king's prison cell is. And they then discuss how to get in.
Really? You have a giant man-sized hole, but you don't know how to get in? Oh my god, this is painful. So tell me, what amazing plan have you come up with?
We shall employ a Trojan tart.
Really? Okay, then show me this Trojan tart.
Hold on, just hold on.
That's not a tart, that's a cake! This is a tart and this is a cake! You see the fucking difference?
Anyway, they managed to get in and also the bot gets inside. And how did he get in, you might ask?
Well, maybe by that fucking man-sized hole they clearly could have used. Is it too late to tell you that the bot is by far the most interesting character outside of Cat Lady Jane, Marion? Oh my god, lady! Beating up people now? No, I'm starting to question her ladiness. That's a word, right?
They succeed to escape with the king and are now venturing home to England.
And may I say, about fucking time! I might point out that they use no segue song for this part of the journey. And already, the part is boring. Poor guy.
So the sheriff and the prince plot some devious plan to get rid of the king before he can claim his throne.
And by this, I mean absolutely fucking nothing, since that would be really hard to animate correctly, and clearly, they're not going for that.
Instead, they sent the assassin out to inform that the king had arrived. And here's actually a pretty pointless villain reveal.
I say this mainly because the villain were really never that well disguised.
So now that our hero returned, they get ready for the final battle.
I'm sorry. Just give me a moment. First the sheriff. And now Robin Hood? What is this, GTA? I guess we'll then know how he got the name Hood.
So
Your
they engage
little
in the
plot
last
has
battle between
failed.
the sheriff of
The Lord
nothing
Chancellor
and
is
them,
under arrest.
and of course Robin Hood.
And excuse me. I need some coffee. Alright. Got my coffee, now back to the... What the fuck? Dude! That's your sword, it's... well... I guess we can call him the glitchy sheriff.
And by the way, this is not the first time it happened. Moving on, the movie ends up with the sheriff getting thrown in the ye old dungeon. The prince is sent to Austria to live out by the mercy of their king. And his biggest problem is...
But the winters are so cold there.
Excuse me?
But the winters are so cold there.
Well, that's funny. I would have assumed the guillotine would have been high on the list. But no. Cold winters are far worse. Ooh.
So, the very last part is that Cat Lady Spider Marion finds together with Robin Hood and also the sheep and the moose. Why they end on that note is beyond me.
And frankly, I couldn't care less. The movie's over!
So where do I even begin with this movie? I would have hoped I could say it's a cheap knockoff of Disney, but I really can't compare it that way since it's too distinguished in a lot of ways, especially story-wise, and of course Lady Marian kicks ass, as much as the movie allows her to. First of all, the story, as far as I know, is not true to the Robin Hood legacy. Robin Hood never actually went to save the king. Next, the whole environment is really lacking something. First of all, better measures, and next, some actual buildings. This kind of reminds me of an early alpha test of a game, more in a CG animated movie. I mean, apart from the two castles, there really isn't any buildings whatsoever. Furthermore, the whole movie lacks structure in terms of characters. They all just bland. The sheriff is the villain type, the prince is the stereotypical wimp, Robin is the main hero type. The only person who is somewhat different is the Lady Marian character, who sadly falls into the tomboyish girl is better than boys category, which also have been done to ages now. The only good thing I can point out is, well, Marian actually is a character instead of the stereotypical damsel in distress, which a lot of movies like to use. Of course, historically correct, she kind of was a damsel in distress, so take this however you like. And also the Bard song. I would lie if I said that wasn't my favorite part of the movie. Sure, they might be there to make the movie longer, and nothing else. They certainly doesn't add to the story or flesh out the character for crying out loud. We don't even get the names of half of the main cast. But fuck it, I love these songs, and to hear it once again in the credits, that actually made me watch them.
So that was Robin Hood Quest for the King. And to be fair, I've seen worse.
We find ourselves in Nottingham's fair wood, merry men all led by the hood. United we stand defending our kin. Though it's hard we still share a grin. Courageous hearts you see all around. This is our home and battleground.